food is just as important, if not more important, in culture as language. Like it's another thing that sits alongside that. So I think knowing where your food comes from is extremely important.
Hello everybody, it is Dani Valent here with you for an episode of Dirty Linen. Thank you so much for giving me your time, your ears, your attention. Happy to be with you, whether you're in the kitchen, maybe in the car, maybe out with a dog. Maybe I can imagine you walking along a beach and the sun is beautiful, there's a little breeze and life feels good. When I think about why I love to write about food, talk about food, experience food, I reckon the thing that always draws me back and makes me feel the best is the idea of connection and community. Who are all the different people, environments, natural processes that we connect with when we have a meal? It's quite magical, it's complex, it poses sometimes more questions than it can answer, but how lucky to be thinking about all that stuff while nourishing yourself with food and perhaps with delightful company as well. Today's conversation with Matt Adams is going to be all around community, connection, all that good stuff. Matt, since 2016, has been running Timbre in the Tamar Valley in Tasmania. I'm super excited, Matt, to welcome you to Dirty Linen.
Thank you for having me, Dani.
So good to have you on the show. Now, I haven't eaten at your restaurant, which must be corrected one day, but I love the sound of what you do. Tell us a little bit about Timbre.
We are 15 minutes out of Launceston in Tasmania's north on the west side of the Tamar River. So not far out of town at all. Sitting at Velo Wines, so a little winery. And we have our little restaurant there that I started in 2016 with not much of a plan either on what I was going to do and what it was going to be. And I think that not having that plan is what has helped it become what it is now 8.5 years later.
I love that. It sounds organic and perhaps occasionally a little bit chaotic. I mean, I don't want to assume, but I love that because a lot of restaurants, I think people feel like they should start restaurants with business plans and backing and strategy and growth targets and all those words that seem to suggest spreadsheets and the things that I might maybe somewhat allergic to myself.
Like I guess I knew I had all these tools that I'd learned, that I'd picked up along the way that I could hopefully efficiently run a restaurant that I enjoyed working at. But yeah, the rest was kind of left to play out naturally and, like you said, organically to see where it went. And so, we're still here 8.5 years later.
Yeah, well, that is a testament to, like the power of chaos or trust in the way things are going to play out. And I guess the reason that I started chatting to you last week and arranged this conversation was because I'm writing a story, or I've written a story now for the Qantas magazine about restaurants and community. And my sort of hero focus for the story is Barragunda, a restaurant we've spent a lot of time with on this podcast. I've been lucky enough to eat there a couple of times in its short life and really love the way that it's a restaurant that has built itself slowly and perhaps a little bit more deliberately than you had the luxury of doing, but has very much had community at the centre of its ethos. And then I was looking around for other restaurants to chat about as part of this story and, thought of you. Tell me a bit about how community has threaded through this 8-year journey of the restaurant.
I guess from the beginning, it always has been the focus, and my focus and Timbre's focus has been about people, and whether that's the staff and the crew that are in there, day to day working and being, part of the team, or the guests that are coming in, and also the suppliers. I think early on, like I just put a call out on social media. If anyone has any excess produce, bring it in. We'll trade you. We'll barter you with a voucher. And I thought that I would end up with, some lemons and, here's a $20 voucher and you can come in and get a few coffees or something like that. But then the organic growth of that over this now 8 years is just, it's phenomenal. Like it's hard to explain. Like, and especially in Tasmania with our seasons, like, it's pretty dormant from around like May through till September. There's not a lot going on produce wise. So, come September, it starts, and then coming into summer, everything is ready at once. And you have these little short periods of time where it's like, right, the next 3 weeks we're going to be getting a hell of a lot of figs or whatever product that may be. But yeah, it's just sort of snowballed over time.
It's so interesting. And actually, it's crazy I haven't been to a restaurant because I've been down to Tassie and to Launceston the last few years to go to Agricultured, which we've done a series of podcasts about.
We always do a dinner for that one. So yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, we've come down and made podcasts around Agricultured, but we've never actually really got to go to the festival because we're just running around doing the podcast. But as you were talking about the dormancy of that winter period in North Tassie, it's like, yep, I fully remember that because we were going around having these great chats with producers and on their farms, like Seven Springs, a couple of hours from Lonnie, and you're hearing all these.
And they're probably like, oh yeah, we've got this growing over here, and then you're like, yeah, right, sure you do.
Well, you're just looking out and just seeing like bare dirt. And you're like, I mean, I believe you that it's going to be amazing, but we can't really make a great video here right now because your potatoes are underground and there's nothing above, there's no green shoots, there's nothing above the ground. So yeah, I mean, but obviously, when it's on and there is that abundance. So Matt, you said it's pretty hard to explain how it snowballed, but I'm going to have to ask you to explain it a bit more. Tell us about some of the people rocking up at the door.
Yeah, like this is the beautiful thing about it all. And like when we finally sort of after a few years sat down and sort of realised what we were doing, because we weren't really doing it with much, like nothing was contrived or planned. So it was like, oh, hang on, yeah, like, come September every year, we see this person every week for the next, 10 weeks or 12 weeks. So like the people that are coming in, they're bringing their product in. We get to talk to them. We meet them. We see them, they'll pick a day that suits them for the week that they'll drop off. And then they're getting a voucher in return for their produce. And so then, they'll be in for lunch on Sunday. Some of them might save them up for a month. Some of them might spend them every week. So like these people, this community, it creates this community in this like circular economy. And it's when you sit back and take stock of what you've sort of helped tick along, it's really lovely.
Well, introduce us to some of these people, Matt, like who's grown what and what have you turned it into?
I guess like we have some. We have people that have been bringing stuff, I guess, now for 8 years. Like some of them have been and dropped off, and some of them show up. New faces show up every year. I think it's not necessarily about one specific product or piece of produce or vegetable or fruit. It's like we know that if we get bulk, I guess what happens is we get bulk of something. So we're forced into this space of necessity in regards to preserving and turning it into something and then being able to get it onto the menu. Because at the end of the day, we're still running a restaurant that needs to have a menu every day and, make sense to people to come to. And not just our kitchen playground where we can sort of like do stuff like it. So I think every year we get better at it. And we know that, Greg, he loves growing this every year, and like he knows that we love it. So we know that like when we hit, mid-December or something, like we're going to see Greg soon with like some of this product. I guess it's like becoming more and more in tune with where we are in the West Tamar, because it is an area where it's like semi-rural. Most places have probably got a large enough space to have a garden, and that's where all this produce is coming from.
So what does Greg grow?
Oh man, he's got a house that's like a kilometre from where we are, and his whole house is surrounded by gardens. So he's got like multiple herbs. He's got figs. He was bringing us a lot of persimmons last year, so I'm hoping I don't think they come from his house though. I think he gets them from somewhere else. So I'm hoping he shows up with them. Like we know that, this kind of thing of like we know they're coming soon. So, and we know what we did with them last year. Let's do it better, or like what worked best last year. Let's nail that technique or fermentation or whatever it is. Let's nail it this year.
Let's talk about, I don't know, is it tomatoes? Is it figs? Like something that I reckon you must get an abundance of, because when they're on, everyone's ripening at the same time. How do you do? What's the feeling like, and what do you do?
It's so funny. Like I actually managed to have Easter weekend off with my kids and my partner, and but it's getting videos sent to me from work of like, I thought figs would have been done, but like people, I think we ended up with another like 30 kilos of figs, which is a lot of figs to have to go, oh my, like what are we going to do with these? So the bulk things are apples, a lot of apples, some years. It's nice to see like there's good years and bad years for things, and it's generally across the board in the area. One thing we have moved into, like with Owen in the kitchen, he's sort of accidentally become our like fermentation chef, and got himself a great destemmer, and a basket press. So we've been, all the apples now, we sort of pull them together and we'll crush them and then basket press them and then push them into cider, ferment them through to cider, and then just push that through to cider vinegar. So I think we've got like something like 160 litres of cider vinegar, all at different stages in their little 20 litre batches. So I think every year on year, like this season feels like, okay, we're finally getting it now. Like we get it. We're actually documenting things. We know what things work and what things don't work. So with this bulk stuff, we're actually, making it work for us a lot better instead of just absolute chaos. It was like, oh my God, we need to put an apple crumble on the menu, or we need to make apple paste, and so
a little bit more strategy coming in, because there must be, I guess, staffing considerations with these windfalls of produce.
Yeah, like, because at the end of the day, we're still trying to run a restaurant, which where people can come to and order a lunch or a dinner, and I can pay people, and I can survive as a restaurant at the same time as working this way. Like the backyard produce trading thing, like it's such a massive thing for how we operate daily that it's really shaped what we are accidentally, in the sense that like when you are getting these bulk amounts of things, it's like, okay, we're going to have to ferment this, or we're going to have to pickle this and preserve this. So we're making these products before we know what it's going to go with on the plate.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So it really ties into like dish creation and
totally. Like me trying to plan a menu now, I can't plan one. Like if you want a menu for 2 weeks' time, I find it really, really difficult.
It's so interesting, Matt. You've been working in kitchens for more than 20 years. You've trained at TAFE. You were shortlisted in the Proud to be a Chef competition. You were you ran Joseph Cromie Wine's restaurant, which is, you know, a leading regional restaurant, you could say, throughout the whole country. But now you've got your own place. You've been running it for 8 years. It's sort of taken on. It seems to have had a mind of its own. Like, what has Timbre taught you about what a restaurant can be?
Well, I mean, it's kind of going to sound, I don't want to sound like cringy, but it feels like if we can do something that's really community focused like this. I mean, because at the end of the day, we're a restaurant sitting at a winery, like the first one out of Launceston on the West Tamar. And to the tourists that comes through, I feel like this trading scheme thing that we do, and the way that we're sort of reverse menu writing by like turning things into, you know, a sauce or whatever before we know what it's going to go with on the plate. It's sort of, I feel like it helps us tell the story of this place that you've just travelled to as a tourist to come and find out. And like our service style is very casual and like very open and friendly and fast and I guess welcoming. I feel like the whole thing lets us tell the story about where we are sitting right now way easier, because it feels honest and it feels it just feels honest and real.
Yeah, I love that. And I imagine, you know, for diners perhaps coming from elsewhere, and then, you know, the waiter might say, well, that's the guy that grew your eggplants just sitting over there, and that's old Johnny whose figs we're putting with the dish.
Exactly. And like there's hilarious like nights, cause I mean I haven't done in the last couple of years, but like I've done a bit of work out on the floor as well, and like there's just been nights where it's just like, this is magical. Like I can turn around and go, well, there's a winemaker from up the road and you're drinking his wine over there, and you bought the tomatoes in that are on that dish in the first round of plates that are coming out, and there's the person that grew the cucumbers, and there's the person, like it feels really, really lovely to be able to have a restaurant like that and have a space like that where there's a community of people that are coming back to dine with us that have also contributed to what we're doing, and it makes them feel bloody lovely as well, I think, because otherwise they wouldn't keep doing it. So
yeah, it's so nice. Do you get the sense that some people are growing produce specifically for you? I mean, do you ever have those conversations?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. People like the ones that are doing it year after year, definitely they know that they don't have to worry about having, because I think there is often that time people put a garden in and then they end up with so much produce that they don't know what to do with it. And that was the original concept of the thing, was like, if you've got excess stuff, like bring it to us, we'll find out, we'll find something to do with it. And but now I think like there's definitely like people putting in, oh, it doesn't matter if we put in another 4 cucumber plants or whatever, because Matt will take, because we never really say no. That's the trick. That's the whole thing. We don't say no to produce.
Not even to zucchinis?
Not even to zucchinis. Like I have said, I will not take something that's bigger than my forearm.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I guess, but year on year, we work out what to do with them. And like it becomes like, you know, it's like we can whinge about, oh my God, here comes more. But like every year we've gotten better at dealing with it.
I guess, you know, no matter what it is, when you're sort of getting the produce straight from the hand of the person who's grown it, there's no way that you can't value the time, the water, the sunshine, the labour that's gone into it.
No, and it's like it's not something that you can order from a supplier. I mean, the produce is literally being picked in the morning, and, you know, even if it's like a couple of kilos of like baby carrots or something, and they're all different shapes and sizes, I think that's amazing. I don't want them to all be the same size. I want them to be like wacky. Because you like stuff like that, just you can't beat the flavour of something that's been pulled out of the ground in the morning, like, and it's literally coming in through the door. We have a happy conversation with these people. I say, how much do you think that's worth on a voucher? And a lot of the good ones, they've already got their figure worked out, which I love because the haggle, I hate the haggle. So as long as both parties are happy, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, that's so good. And, you know, as you say, you are still running a restaurant. It has to be financially sustainable. Do you feel like is that tricky or is it easier? Like, how does that all stack up?
Well, it's hard to quantify this stuff that's coming through the door, and it's really hard to track, I guess. So it is a bit on a wing and a prayer of like how it's going to play out. Because imagine if only my customers were all dining on vouchers, and then I'm.
Well, yeah, but I would imagine that does sometimes happen where you're looking around. Yeah.
I can't pay the rent with some of my mat money voucher. So, yeah. But
Somehow it's balanced out so far.
yes. With a bit of good luck, it is. 8.5 years that we're still doing it, so it seems to work. There's things like we'd love to be able to move in because we do get such bulk amounts of things where, can we put this in jars or put this in bottles and sell it as a retail product? And I think that's where I don't quite know how to get to that next step financially. It's like trying to work that next step out whilst running a restaurant and receiving the produce the way we do. Yeah. So there's things like there's possibilities out there. It's just working out how to get to those points.
Are there any restaurants that you look to, whether it's locally or anywhere around the world, that are inspirations to you?
We do a lot of fermenting and a lot of pickling and preserving. So literally anywhere. No one specifically. A lot of places though. We'll draw on all different cultures or cuisines to apply a technique to something that comes in. And then it's from there, it's we turn it into a dish on a plate where we're not leaning too far into another culture or cuisine when we're presenting it as a dish. We're still in Tasmania, we're still in the West Tamar, but we've applied a Korean fermentation technique to this vegetable. We're probably just going to name it whatever the vegetable is. We're not going to tell you. It's hard because we don't want to confuse people. We don't want to give too much information out. If we were to write recipes for some of our dishes, it'd be insane. Because we might have used a liquid off some lacto-fermented quinces that we did in 2023 to season it. So just stuff like that, where it's everything feeds back into itself, we're using old ferment liquids and back slopping into the next year's ferment to kick it off. And yeah.
Yeah. So when you write your recipe book, it's going to have to start with the first step of every recipe is going to have to be get to know everyone with a veggie patch around you.
Yeah. It'll have to start at the end, work its way back. I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's the natural conclusion to the reverse menu mode that you've got there, Matt. So I know that you can't write a menu 2 weeks ahead, but what if I came in tomorrow or the next day? What are some things you might feed me?
Oh, tomorrow we're always going to start with bread from the wood-fired oven, which is a nice blistery pizza dough style bread. At the moment, we're serving it with just straight up mascarpone that we're making here as well. Because we do a lot of fermenting with kefir grains, so all our dairy products are fermented with kefir. What have we done today? Tomatoes, last of the tomatoes, with some figs. What else? We did a little snapper rillette style thing with some snapper, Tasmanian potatoes turned into gaufrettes naturally, and a preserved citrus dressing that a lot of the citrus that we received last year went under salt into buckets, and then we're working our way through that still. What else? My lord, so much stuff. Capsicums were coming from the same lady that has the tomatoes. Lovely capsicum velouté with fish. Yeah. Baked quince, like quinces have just started. So we did some quinces overnight, just at a really low temp, and they came out beautiful, just like wrapped in the oven, and serving that with a baked cream. So super simple, but not sort of, yeah.
Wow, it all sounds so delicious and resonant and anchored in place and community, as you say, like so nice. Matt, you know, not everyone is in a rural area with these backyard producers around. Like, can you think of anything that someone who's perhaps in a city restaurant or at home, maybe they're in an apartment, like how can they capture some of this vibe for themselves?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like I've often thought, like if I was in Launceston, like would I still be able to do this? And yeah, I don't know, because I'm not, you know, that being that 15 minutes out and having that and building that community and being part of this produce trading thing, like I don't know if I can replicate that in city. But I guess it'd just be going to market and talking to growers, which, yeah, so you know who it's coming from, and that would be the closest I think you could get, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you make me think of we're doing a little series on dirty linen at the moment called Illuminating Lumen, where we're catching up with this lovely little cafe and wine bar in Melbourne called Lumen every couple of weeks. And the most recent episode on that little sub-series was with one of their growers, which Dog Creek Growers, which is just an hour outside of Melbourne, and they're on the phone to them a few times a week. They deliver the produce personally. They might and it is, I guess, that relationship where maybe if something is a bit not quite to spec, you know, the cafe will still take it and do something with it, as you say, like maybe it is fermenting, something along your lines. And if there's an abundance, they might take it, you know, and similarly, if the cafe is having a quiet couple of weeks, the producer will be a bit understanding. So I suppose it's always about conversations and building trust and relationships, isn't it?
Totally. It's like, yeah, have that conversation. Like, realize that it is about people and food comes from people. And I mean, food is just as important, if not more important, in culture as language. Like it's another thing that sits alongside that. So I think knowing where your food comes from is extremely important. Yeah.
Well, I cannot think of a better note to leave it on. So, Matt, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Absolute delight to have you on the podcast. I'm going to have to check flights to Launceston immediately because that quince is talking to me. But yeah, all the best with what you're doing, and I hope it's a happy and productive autumn. Catch you soon.
Thanks so much for having me on, Dani. Talk to you soon.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.